So for those that we haven't met before, Creed are an employer brand, direct resourcing and people comms business. So we're marketing, advertising, media, creative people, and we work solely in HR, resourcing and recruitment. Really enjoying the fact that this event is in Manchester and I can use my best Mancunian accent throughout the whole 45 minutes. So that's enough about us. Dave's going to kick off our presentation.
And I'm on the handheld mic today, which is quite loud, interestingly. But we're here today to talk about your employee referral programs or strategies. I think the main thing today is I'm hoping that people are in here to hopefully learn a little bit more about how you can improve the one that you've already got and enhance it, or perhaps you don't have one at all and you're looking at how you can maybe kick it off and how you actually get started embedding one. So what we're going to go through today, because rather than give you lots of theory today, we've actually got a really fun case study to talk through that's very recent, and it's just something that's only been launched for the last couple of months. We're lucky enough that it's won some awards, and so we wanted to share that with you today because it's a great example of how it can be done. Also going to explain what those little monsters are as well in a little while as well, if anyone's wondering. The only really little bit of theory that we're going to cover today is pretty much these next two slides, which is why an employee referral program. And I think the key things with these numbers that are just popped up on the screen is that typically from research that we've done with current clients and recent clients is that generally speaking, you'll get 7% of your applications come through referrals, which is pretty low really on the whole. However, we do have clients that are getting up to 40% of their actual hires through referral. So you can see that actually you're not getting too many applications, but you're actually making an awful lot of hires through it. And generally speaking, you'll find that the process is quicker for people going through referral. You'll often fast track them because they're almost seen as a bit more of a VIP because one of your current employees has referred them or recommended them. You can often skip certain elements of the career site and that kind of stuff. And typically, from a KPI standpoint or review meeting, the research has shown that they are actually better performers as well. They tend to stay longer and they tend to do better in post as well than non-referred employees. Overall, I think the main point to say is that what we found across all the research is that referrals will give you your lowest cost per hire as well. It's going to save you loads of money on attraction, and you certainly won't need to go anywhere near recruitment consultancies.
Okay, so it might be that you have a referral scheme or you're about to refresh the one that you've got. It might need a bit of TLC. There's a couple of things that we would ask you to think about before you do that and before you embark on relaunching it, is to think about the barriers. What is affecting participation and why aren't people referring for your organisation? And that's typically around some main points. The first one is normally reward. Is the reward relevant for the people that is in your organisation and for the effort that they're going to make on your behalf to bring the right skills through? So it's normally around reward, and we'll come on to a variety of different rewards in a moment. The other barriers are around process and admin. Referrals can be a bit of a nightmare. You've probably had post-it notes shoved in your palm of your hand in the corridor of, that's my mate, the brilliant, why don't you give them a job? And there's new technology that we can use to make that a better process. The other barrier is often around marketing and awareness. What's really important is to make sure as soon as people start, even in the recruitment process, that you talk to them about making other referrals for you and keep that remarketing because they will forget about it. So the frequency of the marketing is really important. This little diagram here, another bit of theory, is from a book called Hooked. And it's a business psychologist called Nir Eyal who has written the book about how to develop habit-forming products. So how do you get something that people want and will always come back to have more of? And this part of the book is actually about what motivates us to buy things and to do things frequently. And it comes back to the reward as well, because not everybody is motivated by money. So some organisations, typically the average referral bonus is about £500. We've got some clients who pay nothing, and other organisations give up to £2,000 and £5,000 for a referral bonus. But it's not all about money, and we know in our diverse workforce that we need to give options or varieties of rewards so that people have a bit of a choice. Because some people are more socially driven, and it might be that they want an extra volunteering day, or they might want to make a charity donation instead of having the money themselves. Some people are just in it for the appreciation and the recognition. So the important thing is about celebrating every time you make a new hire through referral. Give that person a bit of appreciation and recognition for it. So the case study that we're going to talk you through today and the work we've done so far is for an organisation called Assurant. You may or may not have heard of them. They're a huge global insurance organisation. You've probably got mobile phone insurance or an insurance package from your bank account. It's highly likely that Assurant provide one of those covers. But they don't have a consumer brand. So the biggest challenge they face is nobody really knows who Assurant are. So they are even more reliant on their own people to tell their story for them. So referral is critical to them. So we've worked with Assurant for 8 years, and we're now on the 4th iteration of the referral scheme. We started working with them and we inherited this lovely campaign on the side. And not only is it a tongue twister, big bucks for best buddies, it was all about money. The referral was, just all about the cash incentive. So we moved it on a few years later and introduced Matchmaker, which actually was one of the most successful referral schemes they've done. And Matchmaker was to help people broaden their minds and think about other people outside of their own typical skill set. So think about people in the department down the corridor. You probably know a finance person, even though you might be in customer services yourself. And then a few years later, we moved on to New Faces, which was more about the behaviours and skills that people wanted. They wanted people to refer. Good engagement piece in that they used all their own employees for the photography, which was a nice, fun engagement thing to do. I think the message here is every 2 years they relaunch and refresh the referral scheme because it can become a bit of wallpaper. It's got to be kept alive. Think
Europe. So Caroline's mentioned that they're a global organisation. However, this particular brief was for their UK and European offices. So we've got a German, Italian, Spanish and French outfit as well that's slightly smaller than the UK office. But the launch and the proposal and the proposition and the creative would need to work for those countries and be translated as such as well. One of the biggest challenges for these guys was that they were already getting just short of 40% of all their hires, and that's across head office, contact centre and warehouse through referral. So the thing for us was how can we maintain that, which is obviously a challenge in itself. But I think the next point there about increasing participation was how we were going to try and do that, because typically contact centres had been great at referring each other, head office not so good. So we needed to think about how can we get head office involved and more engaged. They wanted something engaging and fun, so it was very clearly a brief of we don't want more corporate comms, we don't want it to look like anything else. It could just be a poster on a wall somewhere or something that would be stuck on our intranet. We actually want it to stand out and seem interesting. It needed to be fun, like I said, because a lot of the people they recruit are 18 to 24, so it can't be something too stuffy. Socialise and making referring easy, that kind of refers to the technology side of things. They realised that it needed to be social. People needed to be able to share what they were doing and make it, be able to relate to other people in the organisation who were also using social media to refer. So that needed to be part of the brief. And also, making it easy. The current process was fill in a form, take it to HR, and they will process the referral. And a lot of people who were in different buildings or on different floors just found that it's only a small process, but just a blocker to referring. And finally, which links in with the increasing participation, we needed some more brand ambassadors. There weren't enough people internally that were actually trying to push it and tell their teams, look, can we try and think about who else, friends, family, ex-colleagues that you could refer, because, as I'd mentioned earlier, they tend to be better performers and they tend to stay for longer as well. Some really interesting stats came out of it. So given the fact that 40% of their hires were coming from referral, some of these numbers were quite, not worrying, but weren't what we expected, in that 35%, so a third of people had completely forgot that there was one. 60% had never referred, a large proportion of those being the head office and the warehouse, and nearly two-thirds had no idea which vacancies were live. Now that was partly in part to their intranet not being great in showing internal vacancies, and typically current employees don't always go onto your own career site to have a look for vacancies, but how can people refer if they don't know what jobs are live at the moment? So that was something we needed to consider as well. Then some of the anecdotal things, but that kicked out a few times, where people wanted an option of reward, so they didn't just want money. It wasn't just after 3 months we're going to get £500. It was, can we look at micro incentives? So it might just be vouchers, or it might be a day off or a charity day, that kind of thing. They wanted it fun and creative, as I'd mentioned. They kind of reflected what the brief was, which was nothing corporate. We want this to actually be fun. You guys are pretty renowned for having a fun launch day and creative campaign. Let's maintain that. Refer on the mobiles was big, especially for the contact center and the warehouse employees who weren't allowed to use their desktops to access anything other than the systems that they were using. So the ability to do this on mobiles was key. And also they wanted to know where their referrals were up to. So if they'd referred a friend or a colleague, they wanted to know how that was doing and where they were at in the process, basically.
So, I think some of those points Dave's just made about the research was really important, because it informed the creative brief. And we asked people, what would you want for a referral? And they were giving ideas like, give me a volunteering day, or actually, can I have a parking space for a month? Those things that would be useful to them rather than the cash. So for our creative team, Assurant are a dream client, and this particular brief is one that we always look forward to because they push us creatively. But the important thing with this was the talent spotters that we'd created. We needed to bring it to life. So the monsters that you've seen, and you'll see more of in a minute, it was all about spotting talent. So we used the big googly eyes of the monsters to portray that looking for talent. I think the word memorable is a key takeaway. The creative, from start to finish, had to be something that people would remember. They are a corporate professional insurance business. The information, the triple screens that they have in the call centres, the corporate comms, the internal comms about product launches and their customers, it's all quite dull and corporate. So it had to be real standout. And they were really supportive in bend the brand rules a little bit, push us. We liaised with internal comms heavily on this so that there wasn't a clash of interest when we were launching it. I think the other important thing for Assurant was, as Dave said, nobody knew what vacancies were live. So the biggest barrier was knowledge and education about what are the vacancies we can refer to. So the talent spotting, the technology and the creative had to try and get that across as well. So some of the executions look like this. We planned a teaser to get people excited that the relaunch was about to happen. So we had a week of teaser campaigns, which was about keep your eye peeled. And then the whole place was littered with ceiling hangers, floor stickers, door vinyls, screensavers, intranet banners, banners on the reward system, all the digital signage around all the offices, had all the talent spotters stuff on. And then the launch day itself is a massive engagement exercise, and actually internal comms and engagement help and contribute to that day as well. So this is just some of the stuff that we did. And everything had to be translated into 5 other languages and distributed to the other countries as well, so that everybody got equal attention and investment in the launch. We even had a bespoke monster costume made. That was the head of HR saying, we want to do something different, push us, let us do something really exciting and fun. The research, people in every department had said, it should be exciting and fun. We don't want more boring comms. And the monster costume is now a mascot. So every time they do a bit of a remarketing event for the referral, the mascot comes out and walks round. And he's actually appeared on Skype to the SLT in Atlanta for one of the HR meetings as well. So he's a well-known, famous monster.
So what actually happened with the launch was, as Caroline's mentioned, we had to translate everything that we did, all the desk drops and the posters and the hangers and everything that had wording on it. That all needed to be translated into local language. So we obviously had translation businesses that helped us with that, but then they had to go in country to make sure that those translations made sense. We ran a week's teaser campaign with, like we said, just footprints on the floor and things on the back of toilet doors and things hanging, which just had, keep your eye peeled and that kind of messaging on there, just to get people talking about what's this, what's coming. 100 different pieces of actual artwork were created, so 100 variations of these monsters were used at some point around the offices or over this kind of the period that it was launched, and 10,000 actual things were handed out or distributed as a result of various forms, which you'll see shortly. We had a fun launch day. We're going to show you that shortly so we can actually bring it all to life a little bit. But all 1,200 employees, pretty much, give or take, were on site on the day of the launch in the UK in Crewe. So we had a big population to try and impress. We had a Snapchat filter that we'd had geo-targeted just to that location. So people who were in the building had it, and I'll show you the images of that shortly as well. They had the little monsters appearing on a Snapchat filter so they could share that with their friends. And critically to this was that from a marketing standpoint, what we can't do is spend quite a bit of money on a launch and the concept and this great creative for then nothing else to happen after the launch day. It was really important that we had a 12-month plan that Assurant had agreed to, how we would keep this fresh, how we would market it, and we'll talk about how we did that on an ongoing, or we have been doing that on an ongoing basis since this launch. Then referring back to what the guys had asked for around new technology, we introduced a platform that was both desktop, and you can access it from just a regular PC, so it's talentspotters.co.uk, or you can download an iPhone or an Android app, and it has all the technology there that you're able to. It pulls all the vacancies from the ATS. So when we were saying earlier that employees didn't know which vacancies were live, this was a means of being able to show them all live vacancies, and within the click of a button, you find a job, press share, and it would share with that individual employee's own LinkedIn contacts, with their Facebook contacts. You could send it via email, via WhatsApp. Any way that people would typically share things online, this app allowed it to happen, basically. Now, to make it more interesting, especially thinking about the audiences that were involved and trying to get head office a bit more engaged, it was gamified in a way. So the way that this app works is every time you share something, you get points. Every time somebody that you refer clicks on the link that you've done and actually applies for a job, you get a lot more points. If they get an interview, even more. If they get hired, even more. And it's all automated through the ATS talks to this piece of software, and it automates it, updates it automatically, and people get the points added on. Those points relates to the micro incentives and rewards that they'd said that they wanted earlier, and that was everything from a really basic food voucher at the canteen in the office, all the way through to Amazon vouchers, B&Q vouchers, and loads of great stuff there as well. Even bigger than that, the client decided to introduce a huge monthly reward. So for the person who shared the most, or for the person who made the most referrals that actually ended up getting employed, they were in a prize draw, and there was basically £1,000 voucher to some extent given out each month as well to keep the momentum going using the technology. That's the Snapchat filter, by the way. So, and they're the resourcing team as well. So yeah, just the daft monsters, the branding on there, and that was used by everyone to share it to their friends and family in the area as well on the day. So rather than now just talking about it, we videoed the launch day so you can see everything that we've just talked about actually happen. I think it goes on for about 3 or 4 minutes, but hopefully you'll agree that it was a very fun day, which was the plan.
Today we're launching the new employee referral program, Talent Spotters. It's all about launching the new concept based upon 5 monsters, which is really engaging to drive more and more employees to refer their friends and family to Assurant.
The launch of Talent Spotters has been a huge success across the European business.
We're in Spain, Italy, France and Germany. There's lots of incentives all the way through the hiring process. Cash incentives within the call centre, £500, for a head office role up to £1,000.
Per friend that you refer, you get a £20 voucher for every interview that they attend, and if they get the job and stay in the position for more than 3 months, you get £500 bonus on your payslip.
I referred Sam when Stanley ended up getting the job. She was looking for a new challenge in her life, so I said, well, come and try what we're doing. She come, got the interview and got the job. She's loving it. She's started doing overtime and that now as well, so she's committed to the job now. The people that stay here the longest are the ones that are referred, and plus bonus of £500 in your back pocket as well.
The new website is launched today, talentspotters.co.uk.
We've introduced an app to make it really easy for our employees to refer their friends and family members.
Everybody's been signing up to our new referral platform and has been sharing all our roles across social media and professional networks such as LinkedIn.
We have a monthly prize draw where any employee who's referred anybody can win Monster Awards up to £1,000.
There's been a selfie mirror, there's been lots of face painting, there's been obviously the food's been available and everyone's had a free lunch today, which has gone down a treat with everybody. And lots of Monster Munch as well, in line with the theme.
I've enjoyed the experience, the culture at the end of the day, so it's been a great atmosphere, and I know last year it was the same as well, so it's even better this year.
I found today very exciting. It's good to know that the company do different activities like this.
I love this job, I think it's great. The people that you work with are great.
Over the last 8 years since we've run with this programme, we've paid over £500,000 in incentives to employees who've referred talent into the business.
So, a really exciting launch day and a brilliant start to the campaign. Like Dave said, lots of effort and thought went into the concept, the reward structure, the new technology. Most important was what was going to happen after that. So we had a 12-month plan, which is still running, to make sure that it stays alive, to make sure that the 30 new hires that they make every month know it exists, how to use it, what to do, and that there are a few mini events that happen across the year as well to keep people re-engaged with it. The technology also has a blog functionality and it pulls through all the social content from the company's social platforms as well. So Assurant particularly have been able to use this as a bit of an engagement platform. Otherwise, their own people weren't going to their social platforms to read other information about the business. And they can use it to push information out about the next monthly prize and things like that. So launch is really important, getting it right is really important, but keeping it alive is more important. So what happened? So as Dave said, in the first 4 months, 70% of employees had registered on the app and had their own profiles set up so that they could start sharing the vacancies and getting the rewards and the points. Going back to the brief, it was increased participation from head office and involve our 5 new countries who had all been doing their own thing previously. Both of those had seen a massive increase. Loads of clicks. Jobs had been shared 1,330 times over those 4 months, of which those vacancies would never have been shared beforehand. And then you can see a nice high number frequency of lots of posts and stuff being pulled through to the app as well. So early months, they had 91 applications. They had 30 interviews from those, so nice conversion ratios, and made 26 hires. So really high engagement and conversion ratio through the people that had been referred through this platform. And then we're bound to get the question about cost. It wasn't a small budget, but there's 5 countries, nearly 1,500 people spread across those countries. So for about £30 per employee, this programme was developed, created, launched, new technology, referral strategy in place for the rewards. So we don't think £30 per person is a great ask to launch something that you're going to get the return on. So to end, what are the important things? We think it's about being relevant to your audience. Think about the rewards that are going to be relevant to them and motivate them to take part and refer for you. Do something a bit different so you get that standout in internal comms, and keep it straightforward. There's nothing worse than an overly complicated process and system and reward structure. People need to know how to talk about it and how to tell others about it. If you keep it simple and straightforward, you've got a better chance of making that happen. Consistency and frequency. This campaign is high touch point without a doubt. There's something happening most weeks, and that's the most important thing, because everybody's got clutter in their own job, the line manager conversations and briefings, and corporate comms. So it's about keeping it front of mind. And then be social. Obviously the technology gives us a real leg up to do that successfully. But the social thing is also about being face to face in the business and talking about it as well. The resourcing team are out pretty much weekly, up and down the corridors, in the departments, making sure people are comfortable with the app, how to use it, what to do, celebrating success, and then obviously using the blog platform again to appreciate, recognise and celebrate the results. I think that's it, and we're finished way before time.